We're going to continue in this video making sure we stay on the right side of the most important trade that matters. Currently, Bitcoin is in a downtrend. Sellers are in control after the last sell impulse. This is the trend line, the break of the trend line that we looked at in our last video. You could see after price broke down, it then came in and took that broken support and retested it as resistance, and then has resumed off since. You can see right now we are looking at sellers in control, and we're going to look at what's next in this video. Before we do, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. If you have a moment, go ahead and smash the like button. Make sure you are able to comment below, leave your thoughts about what you think is next. We're going to look at a few different possibilities, and we're going to make sure that above all, we know our levels to stay on the right side of the trade. As far as levels, we are looking at this current sell impulse underway. More than anything, we are looking at Bitcoin pretty neutral with a downward bias and in no man's land. No man's land being this area between the broken trend line, the correction that Bitcoin has been in ever since the November 2021 high. We are still waiting to see if the buyers are able to break above that level and then go ahead and actually push the sellers into position where we start seeing some short covering. We're going to look at some very important levels above to make sure they stay in front of you. When I say no man's land, we are consolidating in this area right now. This is a very important area. The breakout of this should lead to a big move. Whether or not that's to the upside or downside remains to be seen, but we will follow price and price alone. And until then, making sure we stay on the right side as these moves develop and as they occur. Since we are now looking at a short side bias over here after the break of the trend line, this level was called out to you in advance. And then as it broke, it was also shared on Twitter. You could see here in real time as the trend line was breaking, it was pointed out. It was the seller's turn to see if they could push this and that we're going to stay on the right side, following all levels until there is follow through. And then the update as well was posted after the breakdown, the retest, and then looking for that resumption down. If you're not following me on Twitter, the link below is in the description. I want to make sure that regardless of what is happening, you're able to keep up in real time with us. What happens next as the sellers are in control right now? We're waiting to see, obviously, if we could take out this last swing low that's coming in around $35,500. And if the sellers are able to push any lower, at that point, the very important support comes in. Now, again, just to refresh your memory, this support pointed out inside the CTM hive mind. This was Wes connecting the April to the November high, cloning that line. And once you clone that line, you could see then you get an exact touch of the July lows. Here you go, I have the June and July 2021 touches. And you could see even last week again that we had a touch of that support. If we lose that support, there would not only be most likely a test of the June low, 28,000 and change, most likely a breakdown and further lows. This is so important, this support to hold. By the way, after the bell today, we have Amazon earnings. Amazon right now, not only their earnings, but their forward guidance, their future guidance could make or break the state of the market right now. Watch closely what happens if sellers are not only able to take it and take out that low we looked at around 35,500. At that point, we're looking at another test coming in of that all-important support line that we've been talking about. I want everyone to watch that closely. Now, that's a bit of ways from the market right now. There's no question about that. If you look out, that's currently about 8.5% below. Bitcoin capable under volatility of having those type of moves. Watch what happens on a break. If you got a clean break of that, watch to see whether or not we are able to wick back below it. Watch where the close on the daily occurs. In the event that is happening, a close above, even if you wick down and take out some stops, that's not a bearish event. If we're not here right now, I want to make sure in advance you're watching these levels and the important ones to act off of. And once again, things like this on Twitter in real time, do our best to make sure to keep everyone updated and, of course, help guide through. And why it holds right now, we are looking at an upward sloping channel that's making higher highs and higher lows. So even though right now the sellers are in control, there is quite still a very bullish consolidation happening within Bitcoin. We have to make sure at this particular point that we are open to all outcomes and watching for what is next. And speaking of what is next, what we are looking for over here, what I'm watching, I am waiting to see if at any point in time we're able to look for any type of what I refer to as a black diamond entry, buy impulse at a later level. I will update you when that occurs. Right now, sellers in control, and where that flips is this trend line over here. Again, that's the trend line of the correction that goes back to November. A breakout above would negate this sell impulse. I mean, if you're in this position, you'd be exiting this position, and as well as flipping long, as it would be the buyer's opportunity to go ahead and see what they are able to do. Remember, there is upside resistance. We have this whole area between 41,000 and 42,500 that we're looking at as an area of resistance coming in from this horizontal resistance, as well as this trend line resistance that we also, again, looked at in our last video, and we'll continue looking at it. Until the buyers are able to break above this, seller momentum continues, and each opportunity that we move into resistance is a chance to see if sellers are able to regain that momentum, which they currently have. Let's also look at a possible bottoming behavior that is taking place right now. This was brought to our attention by Matt, speaking of that hive mind. If you're not following Matt on Twitter, that link will also be in the description below. And Matt is pointing out, I want you to focus your eyes over in this box over here. And he's showing us the descending, broadening wedges. And then over here, it's happening in real time. He laid it out in detail. You could see A to B to C to D. And then Matt went ahead and marked E over here, the bottoming that's occurring off that test of that broadening descending wedge. And now price has moved up again for the next touch, highlighted in this yellow circle, and then making perhaps that higher low. You could see price right now potentially putting in that higher low. And if it does, and you get the break to the upside, we could be looking at a shift in momentum from this bottoming pattern Matt brought to our attention, saying usually when I think it's easy to short, I have to check myself. And with this really drop of wisdom, there's nothing easy about it. And that is the posture to have right now as we are looking at many different dynamics, most importantly, the macro dynamic of the central banks switching right now to tightening. Yes, we do look forward to the pivot back to easing. That's not there right now. We have to wait and watch and make sure that we stay on the right side. Everyone, again, if you made it this far, please make sure you go ahead and smash that like button. Share this with someone, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and make sure you do too. You can hit that bell notification to be notified whenever we put out an update. Make sure you're following on Twitter. Everyone, I hope you'll have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.